ENGN After Hours, our continued conversation with the fellows from episode 50. Yo, my peoples, what's up? Jason here with two quick programming notes. One, as you've just heard, we are experimenting with the vibe of our different shows. So we have the After Hours show, which is this kind of extra content. We have the regular show, and then our preview series, which are all three very, very different. So it didn't make a lot of sense to have the same music for all of them. I like the music that we've picked out, but if we get some feedback about it and people want us to keep adjusting, then that's just the way it goes. And the second programming note is that this is the before and the after for our conversation with the gentleman from episode 50. So this is a lot of fun. We really let our hair down and talk some smack about the games. I was thinking of putting it into the regular episode, but it was long, and I decided to keep the stuff that we did because it was a little more positive. This one's just, we're just kind of goofing off. So you'll hear it. It's a good time. There is a hard edit right in the middle where Hans just kind of appears and starts talking stuff. Don't feel like messing with that. It's just going to be there. So sorry. Hope you don't mind. I really think you're going to enjoy this. So here we go. So how you guys doing?
Doing pretty good.
All right. I'm living the dream over here.
Living the dream. Where are you at, Colin?
Yeah, I'm out in Minnesota.
Minnesota, eh?
Minnesota.
Where's your accent? Is that a Fargo thing?
No, that's more of a Fargo thing, but it works. And most people think Fargo is actually in Minnesota, but it's not.
I thought it was right there. I thought it was on the border.
Well, yeah, it's right on the border, but technically it's in North Dakota. It's not in Minnesota.
North Dakota? Okay.
North Dakota there, eh?
I went to grad school in Notre Dame. Right there. And you could always tell the Minnesotans when it would snow, and they'd always be wearing the sweatshirt and the shorts.
Oh, yeah. I do that every day.
It'd be like -10.
Yeah, why wear pants? Okay, you got the sweatshirt, you're good to go.
Every single time it's like, and it would have to be -20 for you guys to admit, oh yeah, it's cold now.
Well, slightly chilly, okay? Not cold, slightly chilly. Get it right. No.
That's so funny. So yeah, how's the baby life treating you, Adam?
Oh, it's busy. It's craziness, to say the least.
Oh. Is that your first?
It's like that's the only question I prepared for.
Is that your first?
Yes, yeah, it's my first. Yeah, it's wild. It's she's pretty good though. She will go down and sleep for like we went on a road trip the other day for 3 hours and she slept straight through it. So she's really good. She'll go down and she'll stay asleep for quite a long time.
How old is she?
So we're really lucky that way.
How old is she?
I'm still crossing my fingers. She's at 2 months now.
Wow. Yeah, 2 months. My baby was terrible. Oh my God. Colic and screaming. Ugh.
Oh, really?
I don't even remember that.
I got lucky too then, because by 2 months, both my kids slept through the night. So I was lucky little guy.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is crazy.
Yeah.
Like my baby is 2 now, and she just started like a month ago sleeping through the night.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Like she slept through the night when we had her in our bed. So she could sleep pretty good. Like we tried to sleep train her for the longest time, and that was a complete disaster. we also moved a couple times, so like it kind of disrupted her schedule. So she's in a different environment, and it kind of messes her up. But now that we're in the same place, it's gotten a little bit better. So, but yeah.
So you're like 2 years sleep deprived then, as of right now.
Oh, dude. Well, my wife is. My wife did the stay-at-home mom thing for a couple years, so she's just going back to work now. I'm a therapist, so I had to I would go into therapy sometimes, and these people are pouring their hearts out to me, and I'm like bloodshot eyes, and it's like,
I don't care.
Yeah.
You think you have problems?
They're wondering if you need the help.
I had one lady. She's like, "Are you okay?" It's like, you're not supposed to be asking me that.
Yeah.
I ask you that.
It is. It's a life changer. That is for sure. Right.
What are your ages of your kids?
Mine are 3.5 and 1.
Oh yeah, so we're all dads of like really tiny kids. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So we all like this 8 o'clock time. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I'm 7:30, but around 8 o'clock when they go to bed, we can actually start playing games.
Best time of the day.
Yes.
Yeah, I intentionally got a place with a basement because that way, and it's unfinished, so the baby can never come down here. So this is like my cave. This is my sanction. I'm looking at Sword and Sorcery. I was listening to your run through of it. I think it was either yesterday or the day before. I'm like, all right, now I'm finally prepared to start, and now.
Oh, you'll enjoy that one, man. It is just awesome. I'm loving it.
It seems like a real cool one. Like did you play Descent?
I did, but I played it with the Road to Legend app, and I hated it. But that was because I think that was my first dungeon crawler experience, and it did not go well. Okay. But now, I think if I come back to it, I'd love it. Okay,
because I'm torn. So I like Descent, but I'm wondering because right now the differences between the two games are not popping for me. They seem like the same thing, even down to like 17A on the tile. It looks exactly the same.
That's true.
It's like they stole it.
You mentioned that. Yeah.
Did I mess the box up?
You are so right. I will say it's easier with Sword and Sorcery. With Descent, there's so much of where do I put this figure? He can move this many spaces. Should I move to the right or the left? Because the rooms are one space in Sword and Sorcery, that makes life a little bit easier. And you've got the simple, do you dominate the room? Do you not? So I don't know. I feel like for me, I really preferred Sword and Sorcery over Descent, but that's also because there isn't an app. I don't mind the app, but I actually prefer playing without it because I stare at a screen all day. So I don't mind not having the app and that like forcing me to push through. Instead, I can kind of go my pace with Sword and Sorcery.
Okay. Oh, okay. That's interesting. What about you? Actually, Adam, your taste run a little bit more kind of strategic. Am I right in that? Like looking at the games that you review?
Yeah, that's pretty fair because it's like I guess I kind of like the games that are like heavy thinking, but I also kind of it's kind of hard to describe it. I guess thematic has to be in there for me for some reason and everything. Like I have to have a thematic game, otherwise I lose my imagination. So my imagination is very heavy into games. If I can't imagine myself kind of in the world, then I don't really get into it as much. So yeah.
So are you a dungeon crawler? A person?
I guess like I started out like that, and I still am to a certain extent, because I guess my first dungeon crawler was actually Descent as well, and I played it for a little bit, and I just found that I don't know what it was. It didn't have enough freedom for me to make it entertaining, and I found that I was kind of always stuck in narrow corridors, and like I didn't feel like it was building. I kind of like the exploration where a tile kind of builds itself out and you don't know what you're going to get in the next room versus a preset map.
Right.
So, like, even with Sword and Sorcery, like, I really like Sword and Sorcery. I haven't even actually dived into it too deep yet, but, again, it's like a preset map, and I kind of was like, So I looked over at Shadows of Brimstone, which is another game that's kind of a point of contention for tons of people because some people love it and other people don't. The Kickstarter is still kind of unfolding and people are getting their stuff, but that one you kind of like your dungeon creates itself as you go and you can't plan in advance. You don't know what you're going to run into. And to me that is extremely exciting to like have a bunch of people go into a mine or into a certain area and have no idea what is going to happen around the next corner.
Well, they have the cards, right? Like the storybook. Like Descent had very little. Like I mean, it really was like what they had was like a Pez dispenser of monsters. Like every round, the monster would just kind of spit out, and I was like, all right, this is getting stupid. But so that's why I was kind of like I dropped Descent pretty fast. Like the game is fine, but that extra stuff that I had, I was like, ugh. Like this.
But you know what too is like I kind of crap on it a little bit, but to be honest, like Descent actually, like if I had played it back when it first came out, I probably would have said it was the best thing ever.
Yeah. I
just got into it too late, and then by then there was other stuff that was kind of competing for, there's other options. So.
Yeah. Like I mean, I'm because we're gonna do the Sword and Sorcery review pretty soon, and I'm like, I always with the reviews, I always try to like, okay, you already have this game or a version of this game. Why get this game as opposed to that game? Because, games don't exist in a vacuum. Like, you can't just say, okay, this game's great, that game's great. Like, would this game replace something in your thing? I'm wondering if Sword and Sorcery, if you're in Descent, like if you've gotten the expansion packs and you got the Lieutenant packs and the Scenario packs, is it worth getting this, and would it replace your descent time? I'm still trying to figure that out.
That's a really good question, though. To be honest, that's
Yeah.
a very good question. I think people that actually own a lot of the descent would probably be really torn with that decision. Like, I couldn't speak to it, but I could see somebody sitting there with all their stuff going like, is Sword and Sorcery going to be deep enough in the long run for me to switch or not? Like, because I mean, if you actually technically own all the descent stuff, you have a lot. Like, it's an outrageous amount of stuff.
We went, we did an auction recently, and the descent. This is just 2.0 stuff. We're not even talking 1.0. The lot went for like $700.
Oh my gosh. That's when I'd be sitting there going, okay, do I complete my Lord of the Rings collection for the card game, or...
Oh, Lord of the Rings! You kidding me? To get that from scratch, someone did a BGD post. It was awesome. I think it was $1,900.
Oh,
if you got all of it at MSRP, all the Nightmare packs and all the the scenario stuff and the sagas, and it's like, Jesus, oh my God! Good Lord! And they do it. They do it in the Netflix model, so that you don't even notice you're paying, because it's just like a little tick off of your budget every month. So it's almost like a subscription. So like, you don't notice it, but then looking back at it, because I never got into it. Like, I just kind of passed it, and then I wanted to turn back when I really got into the solo. I'm like, okay, wow, this is Lord of the Rings. I love Lord of the Rings. Love the movies. Like the movies. Love the books. And let's get into it. And I'm like, what? I can't. This is terrible.
It's honestly like my heavy, like before I even started doing the channel stuff. That was the game that was like pulling me away from everything else. I played it like 6 months straight and probably clocked like 60 to 90 plays a month or something outrageous. I was like just driving through that thing like crazy. I didn't even really progress that fast because I was really nitpicky about like getting a really good score as I was going through, or like playing one-handed and two-handed and everything. So I really didn't even get that far into it. But it's one of those monsters, like you guys are, I'm sure, aware, that like you end up buying a bunch in advance, and then you don't even catch up to your purchases, essentially. It's just sit on the shelf, and you're like, oh, I feel bad.
Right, yeah.
But one day.
And the thing about the way the deck construction works, so like you buy a pack where you can, add stuff into the pile of cards, and you end up not using half of the cards. They're just like, they might as well be blank cardboard.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like, man, it's like, I just paid $17 and I got 4 cards out of this to add to my decks. Like, come on. Maybe that like CGG players are so used to that. I'm not. I didn't do the Magic thing. I think I had a white-green deck in 92, all commons, and I'm like, yay, I get to here's some sprites and here's some unicorns. And I think that's as far as I got. So yeah, I don't know.
I guess maybe that's kind of why I've gravitated a little bit towards, and I've put the card games down for a bit because I've been doing a lot of like actual, usually have a gigantic board game in front of me, not more so card games, but Arkham was the last one I played, and I like that from the sense you could just sit down and quickly swap out like 2 or 3 cards and be done and continue, versus Lord of the Rings where you have to like build an entire deck.
Right.
So that was really nice because it made, time-wise, it cut things down quite a bit. So that was a nice change.
Oh, just letting you guys know, I am recording this, and I will probably post some or all of this as like a separate, we call it like after hours, like just random conversations that I have with people. So just,
cool.
There's always that we're using all the time. Like, awesome. There's the podcast stuff, and then there's like the extra stuff. But the extra stuff is fun too. Like, who doesn't want to hear a bunch of geeks, geeking out about their favorite games?
Sounds good to me.
Awesome.
So we should probably get into a session where we just rant about the games we hate so much.
Oh, that would be so easy.
Well, then do it. Let's do it right now. We're waiting for Hans. I messaged him, so hopefully he'll be on soon. But like, okay, give me a game that like, especially like a solo game that you were really looking forward to, but it was like, this isn't working out.
Oh, I was? No, I just no.
Putting you on the spot right away.
I know, seriously. There are definitely some games where I have had difficulties trying to even get through, but I got to think about it for a second. Can't think of any off the top of my head, but there are definite ones that are like, oh my gosh, are you serious? Oh,
mine isn't.
I have one, but it's kind of, it's not a solo game, but I just played it in a board game cafe a couple weeks back with my wife, and I was like, okay, well this should be fun because everyone says they like it. it's patchwork. And I thought I would like it. And I set it up and I started playing it, and I literally was bored to tears. Like I couldn't get into it. I think we went around a couple times and we're like, what are we doing? Like, I don't know what it was with the theme, but it didn't work for me somehow. I don't know. It just didn't connect.
Oh, dude.
But I'm probably going to get murdered for that one because there's tons of people that love that.
Well, but there's a ton of people that don't like that one too. I mean, Let's be honest. It's one of those games it's really for a niche, right? You're looking for somebody who really enjoys the Euro, and that is probably somebody that knows somebody that sews and so enjoys the theme. But I'm totally with you. My wife loves that game. She always wants to play it, and I'm always like, no, can we do something else? But no, we play it, and it's wonderful. I'll just say that right now. No,
that's awesome.
I have a game called Just Desserts by Looney Labs. It's like a silly card game, but it's a game about like serving fruits and desserts to like people, and it's just like whatever. But my wife bakes, so it's like, all right, in the collection, gotta do it.
Oh yeah,
no way. There's no way I'm avoiding that.
Exactly.
My game is it's also not a solo. It's an Ethnos. You guys played that?
Oh yeah, I've never played that one yet, but I heard of it.
It sucks.
Oh, is it really bad? I thought people said it was good, but maybe
that's what I thought. Like I was really excited because like Tom Vass was like, oh my god, this game surprised me. It's amazing, and he gets it before it comes out.
This is Simon, right?
Yeah, it's Simon. Right. So it's a card game, so it's not. There's no minis. There's just nothing like flash bangy about it. But it's just it's like supposed to be a solid card game. And then I saw all these other people, they're loving on it, and I get it to the table, and that thing is just complicated Uno. All you're doing is like waiting for a set to play, or like the Uno Rummy type thing. So you're waiting for your set, you play it, and you're pulling from a common market, and by the time it gets back to you, the cards are never ever the same. So it's like you might as well just roll the dice and get the card back, and then you have this like big board thing, and it depends on the point system. But if you don't get the cards you need, then you're kind of hosed. And it's 3 rounds of this. Like, and each round takes 20 minutes. It's like, all right, round 2. Huh? What? Round 2? I mean, oh my god! Just the randomness of it. It's so like I'm a person. I don't know what you guys feel, but like the longer a game is, the less I want randomness to kind of determine what happens.
That's fair. Yep.
That's kind of my problem with Mansion of Madness. As good as that game is. Mm-hmm. Like you can go 3 hours and just have a chain of rolls that just craps on you. Mm-hmm. Like even
Jason,
in a game like
my gosh, I'm totally agreeing with you. Because you just triggered it. You just triggered it for me with the game that I was thinking of, Defenders of the Realm. Okay, it's supposed to be an amazing game, totally thematic. You've got these 4 bosses running into the Monarch City. You're trying to stop them. I thought I was gonna love it. And got it out, played it 3 or 4 times, and just like you said, the randomness just killed that one for me. I mean, you would build up all those cards in your hand to go and fight that boss, and then you roll 3 2s, and it was nothing you could do about it. And you go, great, okay, just spent 3.5 hours to lose because I rolled 3 2s instead of 3 3s, whatever it was.
The worst.
Oh, that one just...
and people were like, "Oh, this is the pandemic prime. This is the pandemic killer, and it's built in a system, does different stuff." And I'm a fantasy guy. Like I love Descent. I love the Sword of Sorcery. I'm looking at it, looks great. And I was a big Final Fantasy and Dragon Age, all that stuff on the video games. And I was like, "Oh wow, this is gonna be this Defenders of the Realm." And then I look at the board, and the board is like this laughable. Like generic Dragon's Falls and Angel Reach, and it's like no red, blue, green. Just let's dispense with this, and then and then the like you said before, the randomness and the length. Like I'm not like this big Euro gamer, like because Anthony, who I do the podcast with, he's used to doing 2 or 3 hour like thing, whatever Game Fest. I'm not, but even if I'm gonna sit there that long, don't let like a string of randomness kill me.
Yeah,
and that's I get that from Mansion of Madness. I get why people like it, but maybe they just don't like it.
It's funny because we literally played that last night. I'm like literally played it with a group last night, and we won. We played 2 scenarios, and we won them both, and it made no sense because we usually have lost when we played. The tougher ones, we played a 5-star difficulty from the core, and we won. And I happened to die and go insane, and my mission was to just basically make sure that I'm dead by the end of it. So I had gone insane. I had to make sure I was dead by the end of it, and I had to make sure he survived, like my other partner. Mm-hmm. And somehow, magically, we ended up winning the 5-star difficulty on the very first time we ever tried it. And I was like, did we break a rule? Like, did we cheat somewhere along the line here? Like who rated this stuff?
Or you got a lucky.
But again, like you said, it's very random, right? Like if you get lucky and you find the path and you get the good rolls, things are, as long as you're, making good movement decisions and attacking decisions, for the most part, you probably could, end up succeeding more times than not. But again, it's random. So.
Yeah, like I just finished the latest Time Stories. Time Stories is like my number 3 game ever. And I don't know if you guys are into Time Stories or not, but it's like we were there 5 hours.
Oh, wow.
Right? We started at 6, we ended at 11. And just one scenario, and I didn't even notice the time. Like, it was just awesome. Like, there was puzzles. It was a little bit random because there's dice to resolve, but like, even if you fail, you only cost one time. You get another shot at it, and there's ways to kind of just, get around it. And you could get back on the track, as opposed to these other games where you just, like, roll. Oh, I just wasted 3 hours. But, like, I can't say enough about Time Stories. Even when it's bad, it's good. It's like pizza.
I've heard really good things. Like, I've wanted to try it. I don't know anyone that owns it. I'm like,
really?
Someone's going to buy this.
Oh, you're up in the frozen north, aren't you? You're in what, Calgary?
Or Edmonton, so just a little further north, even further north than Calgary.
Oh, wow, really? Oh, you're in Edmonton. Oh, there's nobody in Edmonton. Oh, I'm sorry.
Why do you think he's playing solo?
Yeah, exactly. Yep, way true. Up here in the frozen north.
We get to talk more crap.
Oh, finally.
Finally.
Excellent.
Now that we have Hans joined us.
I know. Oh, yeah, Han can join us in our what game we hate the most.
Yeah, so we got it. I don't know how this even came up, but we were like, we're talking about games that are just really frustrating and just, because most of our games, I think, in terms of us, like, we are pretty niche-y, so we're not going to play games that we don't like. We're not going to sit there playing an abstract strategy game or some giant social deduction game. Most of the stuff we get is in our lane, so, like, when we get a game that's just really disappointing, it hurts that much more.
Oh, yeah.
It feels like.
For sure. It's...
So, like, I don't know if you had one that was a little bit disappointing for you.
You know what? Nothing really comes to mind. For me, like, I'm fine now that I game solo so much more. I find the disappointment with games usually lies with the other players. That's what I'm finding, and I feel,
hot take.
Well, I mean, they're slowing things down, or they're making poor decisions, or this or that. I'm finding it hard to like. I played Concordia, which is a fantastic game, and as I'm playing it, I'm really enjoying it. But we had these 2 players that were just like slowing the whole thing down, bogging it down, and I was like, I really want to. As I'm waiting, I'm thinking, oh, is there a variant for this? Lo and behold, after I'm done, I look it up. There is a solo variant. And I was like, well, looks like I'm going to be getting this to the table solo style. But
yeah,
it's really interesting, and no fault, because everyone's a different gamer, and I'm not, who am I to judge at the speed at which you play? Like, I was never mad, and I didn't let it show in the game, obviously, but it's very interesting now that I've played so much solo, and I only have to deal with myself and my own analysis paralysis whenever I want to have it. Like, it's really different.
Yeah, actually, I had a take which was a little bit like, it was on one of the episodes where we talked about the unlock games, like the escape room games that are all coming out. Like, my take was that's a low player count game. Like, you hear so many people on the different channels saying, "Oh, I play this with my family. I play this with 8 people." I'm like, you're BSing me. Yeah. There's No way! Those maps are so tiny, and there's only, a lot of them have one puzzle at a time kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, so one person's looking at it, or you're bumping heads, trying to figure out what the heck's going on. One person's hogging the puzzle, the other one's texting, or
I was going to say,
whatever.
The other one's eating food or on their phone. That's probably what it is.
So, I think 2 is the ideal, someone who you really get along with. Maybe 3 if you're really tight. 4, you're starting to stretch it. But I see people, talking oh, this is a great game with 7, 8 people. No freaking way!
Yeah, I don't
and
see
as a
how
solo,
that works
they're
at
really
all.
good games.
Not even.
What's that?
I don't see how that works at all either. I've played Unlock with my wife, and I mean, just the 2 of us is bad enough with us eating and drinking and grabbing the cards in the Unlock game. I couldn't imagine adding a third person.
Right? It's because one person may be good at something, or they have an idea, they're following it up. What's the other person supposed to do?
Yeah.
God, let alone 4 or 5 people. I don't know. I don't know if you guys get the same kind of vibe, but it feels like, I don't know. It feels like there's a bias. If a game is a game, then it must be good at 4 or 5 players, whatever it is. And we're looking at no, who are you playing with? I don't know.
Maybe what they're doing is they're
just
delegating one person to pass out cards, and that's all they're allowed to do, and the other person has to solve the puzzle. Someone else hands people chips while they're playing.
Colin, have you played the escape room games?
No, I actually haven't, but I've done an escape room itself, so I know what you guys are talking about. But I totally am with you. I mean, even some regular games that people are like, oh yeah, I played that with 5 or 6 people. I'm going, really? I mean, the amount of downtime and the amount of, just the time when you're not even doing anything. I think that's what, when I've gotten into solo gaming so much, is that I love always being involved. And that's something from a co-op standpoint that I'm really interested in too, is you always need to be involved, because if you're not going to be invested in the game, and then it's just not fun. My guess is what they do is they've got a couple people that are really into those puzzles, and then the rest of the people are kind of just chatting, and then, oh yeah, do you have a question? Okay, yeah, okay, oh yeah, what'd you do Friday night? Oh yeah, well, I went to this movie, and whatever. So that's my take on it. That's how they do it.
Oh, dude, Hans mentioned 5 Tribes as a game that got him that game. It is downtime the game.
Oh yeah, for sure. But when you're playing alone and you have to think through that decision after that board changes each turn, you're not slowing anybody down. You don't have any worries.
It's the best
you get
part.
to it when you want to.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah, I feel the same way about Mage Knight. That's why that game is amazing. No one ever talks about it. It's number 590 and everybody's top 100, but for solo games it's number 1 because you can just wait.
Mm-hmm.
Sit there for 40 minutes. It's I have to storm this castle and it has a million people in front of it, and I have 6 cards, 3 of them are blood, and how am I going to figure this out? And then it takes you 40 minutes, but eventually do it. It's yeah, imagine if there was somebody else there.
They would be sleeping.
Yeah.
And that was the rest of our conversation. I really hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as we enjoyed recording it. So, we don't have too much to say, so I'm just going to sign off. See you next week, everybody. Later.